Hey guys, OG of the HRC here once more. Welcome back to the OG of the HRC way. So funny story, today I had this whole plan on doing a video on COVID, nail salons, barbershops, small businesses, sort of the hypocrisy of certain things with COVID and some governors and not so much so other governors. As you can see, I have no nails, so the struggle is real here in California. But instead, I want to talk about voting. And the reason I want to talk about voting is I just spent the morning watching John Lewis's memorial, and I felt inspired to do so. So let's have a quick, easy, painless conversation about voting. Voting has been ingrained in me since I was a young kid. My father ingrained in my brain the importance of voting. And so therefore, when I turned 18, I cast my first presidential election vote, and it was for John Kerry. And that's not exciting at all. There's no exciting story. I think of all of the young kids whose very first vote was Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. I mean, these monumental, historic moments. Mine was John Kerry. But I still voted. I wasn't crazy about the guy. He wasn't my number one choice. He was boring to me. There wasn't a whole lot to him, but I still did it because I didn't want this crazy guy, this stupid guy named W. Bush to be anywhere near the Oval Office. So I used my vote to be my personal vote. That's what it is. Your vote is your voice. And when you decide that you're not going to play along with democracy, you're basically saying to all of the ancestors who've come before us, who fought for all of our rights to vote, that they don't matter, right? So many people have been celebrating John Lewis this last week, rightfully so. He's a civil rights icon. He's an icon on the Hill. He's just an iconic man who was about nonviolence and love and peace and voting. And the reason that he was so gung-ho about voting was simple, because he literally fought for the right for people who look like him, the right to vote.
Some of you have heard me say that the right to vote is precious, almost sacred. In my hearts of hearts, I believe that we should make it simple and convenient for all of our citizens to be part of the democratic process. It should not matter whether you're black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. We should be able to participate in the democratic process.
The Voting Rights Act was only passed 60 years ago. The women's right to vote 100 years ago. That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. And for anyone to decide to stay home and say, you know what, I don't care, I don't like this person, I don't like that, I'm sorry, I don't have time for you. You see, even if you are a white male, when our forefathers came over here and built America, they built it on the belief of a democracy, and they built it on a belief of the people choosing the president, the people who represent them, and then it was not DC yet, but on the Hill, I should say. That's what they fought for. George Washington could have been a king. They didn't know what to call him. But he said, no, I don't want to be a king, I want to be a president. I mean, that's monumental. So I don't care who you are, white, black, Asian, Mexican, whatever you are. Someone fought for you to have that right. And every time you ignore that right, you're saying, I don't care about all that hard work you put in because I'm just going to sit this one out. Like I said earlier, there is no such thing as a perfect candidate. I've been blessed that I've had someone that I believe in with my whole heart. But that's a rare number of us who really get to go and really believe in that person. I get it. Politicians are boring, and they have set up things that they need to say, and they make promises that they can't keep. But here's the really funny factor. If you don't use your voice to vote, you don't get to use your voice to complain about the system. You actively have to participate in the system in order to put your 2 words in. It's just that simple, and I don't care who you vote for. If you show up and you vote and you do your patriotic duty, then you have a right to say, I don't like this president, I don't like that. But if you take that, then you're taking away your voice. Your voice is your vote. I cannot say that enough. It is so easy in this day and age to go online, register to vote, find where your polling location is, and vote. It's really not that hard. And crazy enough, this year it's even easier. I think most states are doing mail-in ballots. So they will literally mail you your ballot, you fill it out, you mail it in, and you're good. You even get an I voted sticker. They send it with it. It's so simple. With mail-in ballots, I will say this, make sure that you have your mail-in ballot done by October 14th, because the post office wants to have enough time to process everything, and that's the only way to guarantee that on actual election day, your vote will matter. Otherwise, it's considered more of an absentee ballot, and it comes kind of afterwards. And I feel like this election, every single vote is gonna matter. And here's another little factoid about voting. There's a reason why voter suppression has happened year after year after year. The reason that it happens is a certain group of people want to not allow certain groups of people to vote. Because when the other group of people have a massive turnout, history is made. Barack Obama has the most votes in the history of our whole country. And that was a huge, what we call, right, a huge turnout. That's what we need this election. This election is bigger than Donald Trump. This election is the Senate. This election is the House. This election is RBG. If you claim RBG and you wear an RBG shirt and you're really seriously thinking of not voting in this election, or even, I must say, voting third party, okay, I really don't have time for you, and you do not have a voice in any of this. You take your voice out completely. So if you want to have an 87-year-old woman continue to work and go through chemo because you don't like Biden and he's just not really your guy and he doesn't do anything for you, and you can live with that on your conscience, my oh my, good luck. And listen, I want to be clear, Biden is not my guy. He has never been my guy, and he won't ever be my guy. I got a girl. I don't need a guy, okay? But you know the funny thing? Come the California primary, I did the right thing. I showed up and I voted for Joe Biden. Not because he was my guy, but because I wanted to stop the extreme left from taking over my party. That's what you do. Sometimes you have to settle. Again, my first vote was John Kerry. I mean, so to all those people who are saying Biden is this or Biden is that, or this candidate is this, or those who said about Hillary, or those who said, I don't have time for you. This is serious. And it's not just about the presidential election. Democrats have a real chance to win the Senate, and I believe they have a very, very good chance of keeping the House. But the only way any of this happens, and RBG can retire if she chooses, and we start reversing some of the, in my views, damages that have been done in terms of policy, is by showing up to vote. Make sure that your neighbor is registered to vote. Make sure you know where your polling place is if you choose to actually go in person. Make sure you have all of the mail-in information done and sent off. Go online. Okay, here is a list of all of the states and the last day to vote for voter registration. Please, I am begging all of you. You're not a part of the process. And if you're not a part of the process, you don't get to enjoy the wins. You don't get to think that you're some quote unquote badass when you don't vote, when we get wins, or when we accomplish something for our country that's beneficial. When you don't get to claim those things, because it's not cool to not vote. There's nothing cool about not voting. It's like I said, it's not cool. It's that simple. But I feel like, I don't know what it's got to take to get through to everyone, but it's just this simple. The president is not meant to be your best friend. He or she is not meant to be someone you could have a beer with, which I don't even know where that started, but maybe W. Bush era, but whatevs. They're not meant to do that. They're meant to lead the country. They're meant to protect the country. That's what their job is. You know, we've been fortunate that we've had these really charismatic presidents in the last couple of, the last couple of administrations. Bill Clinton was very charismatic, Barack Obama. But we don't always get that. Sometimes we get a woman who knows policy like the back of her hand and could talk policy left, right, and center, and knows how to work in the middle and knows how to get things done and is smart as a whip. But yet she doesn't really like to do interviews and she likes to just work. But yet that's not attractive enough. So I'm so sorry that these people aren't attracted enough to you. But it's real simple. The president is meant to lead and protect. Congress is to make laws. We've got a lot of options beyond just the president. So if you're not crazy about the person that you have to vote for the president to save RBG, find a Congress member that you believe in, find a senator that you believe in, find your city council member, find someone that inspires you. If we are not represented as women, we don't count. So how about we make ourselves count? Again, we make up 51% of this country. That's all I'm trying to say. Most of these women are pretty phenomenal women, and I feel like y'all should know who they are. Maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm a political nerd, whatever it is. I feel like it's important. Because it's a bigger picture than just one man or one woman who sits in the Oval Office. But you gotta be active. We've gotta be active, because you think back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and how many people were out in the streets fighting about civil rights and fighting about women's rights and fighting about women's right to choose.
Well, the main demand, of course, is equal rights. Equal rights to have a job, to have respect, to not be viewed as a piece of meat. Equal rights to set forth our own humanity. Equal rights to get into graduate programs, to get into schools, to training programs. We're the bottom third of the employment in terms of pay. We represent, nonetheless, 34% of the workforce, yet we're the first to be laid off and the last to be hired. There aren't frivolous demands at all. We just want what men have had all these years.
But you know what's funny? They also voted. So much recently, we've seen this civil unrest and we've seen people out in the streets and protesting and having their voices heard. But how many of those people are going to vote? How many of those people are not going to waste their vote? How many of those people are able to think of the bigger picture? That's what this is. There is a much bigger picture than just what you personally like and what I personally like. So if John Lewis saying it in a New York Times op-ed after he passes away, if Barack Obama saying it, if Hillary Clinton saying it, if Nancy Pelosi saying it, if, the threats and the scariness of Trump replacing RBG, then you can't be helped. But I don't understand it, and I never will. Voting is the simplest thing that we can do, and so many have fought for that right. So are you going to waste it? So one of the common threads that I saw at the John Lewis Memorial was obviously how great John Lewis was, how he was all for nonviolence, how he was about peace and love and kindness. But I also heard from, I believe, almost every single speaker, the word vote. Vote, 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 vote. I mean, everyone said it, I think, except for maybe W. Bush. And I can't encompass enough how important that word is, vote. So many countries don't have this right. So many countries have this right and take full advantage of it and have their voices heard. Just that simple. Your vote is your voice. And if you're unhappy with what's going on, then use your vote to make a difference. All right, guys, until next time, make sure and check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and of course right here on YouTube. Make sure you guys push that little subscribe button if you love what you're hearing. Until next time, the OG of the HRC signing out. Vote.